ever feel like you really don't know someone, even someone close?
Yeah.
That's what we're getting into today.
Okay.
With Karin Slaughter's Pieces of Her.
Right.
We're focusing on what you've shared about Laura Oliver.
It's perfect for a deep dive.
Oh, yeah.
Slaughter gives us a character study
Okay.
wrapped up in a mystery.
And you've sent over
It starts with this incredibly violent act.
Oh, right.
It's almost like an explosion.
Like, we see who she really is.
Exactly.
Her daughter, Andy, sees it firsthand.
Yeah.
The diner scene.
Yes.
So mundane at first. And then Jonah Helsinger,
Right.
he just starts shooting.
Yes, like that.
Most people would freeze, but not Laura.
She's different.
She reacts in a way that's terrifying, but also competent.
That's the hook.
Really?
We expect a certain reaction
Oh, okay.
from someone like Laura.
Yeah. But she's different.
Instead, she counts the bullets.
As he fires.
As Helsinger fires. Showing she's familiar with guns.
Oh, silly.
And then she disarms him.
Not in some crazy way, right?
Not some Hollywood move.
Yeah.
A hunting knife.
So right away.
Questions.
So many questions.
About who she really is.
It's like,
Peeling back a layer of a very complex person.
and things between Laura and Andy get worse after that. Laura is distant,
Yes.
almost cold,
Yeah.
pushing Andy away.
There's urgency there.
What do you mean?
Like, she's afraid for Andy,
Okay.
but can't explain why.
So she's pushing her away to protect her?
In a way,
Wow.
it's subtle manipulation
Not malicious?
out of fear.
That's interesting.
Then Alabama shows up.
Who's that?
Someone from Laura's past.
Okay.
Seems to know more than he says.
Adding to the mystery?
Right.
He even shows up at the hospital. And as if that weren't enough,
Yeah.
Andy finds Laura's storage unit
Oh, right.
full of fake IDs and tons of cash.
It confirms everything.
That Laura's been lying.
Yes.
And that's where the deep dive begins.
You sent excerpts
Yeah.
where Andy digs into her mom's past.
Okay.
Photos, journals, documents.
Wow.
She's piecing together a whole other identity.
And we learn about Jane Queller.
A talented musician
Okay.
who gets involved with a radical group.
The Army of the Changing World.
Yes.
It's fascinating how Slaughter does this.
How so?
We see snippets of Jane's life.
Right.
Her passion for music, her
And her-
disillusionment
With the system.
Yes.
And the army.
They become her outlet.
Her way to fight back.
But their methods, they're not exactly straightforward.
There's a moral grayness.
Okay.
They target people like Martin Queller,
Okay.
Jane's own father.
Wow.
They blame him
For what?
for mistreating mentally ill patients.
It's complicated.
It makes us question
What do you mean?
how far we go.
Oh.
To right or wrong.
To set things right.
Exactly.
And their mission, it ends with Martin Queller's assassination.
In Oslo,
A turning point for them.
it marks their descent.
Into extremism.
Yes.
It's not about exposure anymore. It's about revenge.
The fallout from that.
Yeah.
It affects everyone.
So all of them.
It's symbolic.
Yeah.
It shows the flaws,
In their ideology.
I guess,
The danger.
of anger turning into violence.
And this really impacts Jane.
It sets her on a path.
As becoming Laura Oliver.
Right.
So we have these parallel journeys.
Mm-hmm.
Andy trying to find the truth.
Yes.
And Jane's past
Both searching for answers,
trying to understand
the choices they made,
those journeys.
they collide.
When?
When Laura and Paula Kunde meet,
Paula.
another former member.
Yeah.
It's a raw scene
Revealing the lasting scars.
from the Army's actions.
It's like a reminder.
That actions have consequences.
Even with good intentions.
Even then,
And this sets the stage
for the final act.
of this part.
Yes.
Laura's capture.
Her past catching up.
The prison visit with Nick.
The leader of the Army.
And her trying to shield Andy.
From the danger.
This is where we see.
Laura's duality.
What do you mean?
The mother protecting her child.
Yeah.
And the woman haunted by her past.
It makes you think.
How far would she go?
To keep Andy safe.
Even compromising her morals.
It's the perfect cliffhanger.
It leaves you wanting more.
And thankfully,
Yeah.
there's more to dive into.
Great.
But before we do that,
Okay.
what resonates with you so far? Is it the double life? The Army's
Right.
actions?
What I find fascinating
Yeah.
is the empathy
For her.
for the characters.
Even with their choices.
Even then.
Laura's still a mother.
Right.
The Army wanted change.
It makes you think
About what?
about human motivation.
Okay.
How good intentions
Yeah.
can have bad outcomes.
Absolutely.
It sets the stage.
For more questions,
As we continue,
stay with us
as we unravel more
about Laura's past.
and what it means for Andy.
So Laura, a.k.a. Jane Queller,
Right.
has a past full of secrets. This next section you sent really gets to the heart of it.
Okay.
Her relationship with Nick.
The leader of the army.
What's striking is the intensity.
It's not just ideology.
It's more.
It's emotional, too.
Oh, wow.
A magnetic pull.
Okay.
Passionate and destructive.
He was charismatic, wasn't he?
A master manipulator.
Drawing people in.
And bending them to his will.
You can see how devoted Jane was.
Completely devoted.
Even when things got bad.
Tumultuous.
Yeah.
And unhealthy.
It shows the power of belief, right?
Finding purpose.
In a cause.
Larger than yourself.
But it's also dangerous.
To surrender your autonomy.
Especially to someone like Nick.
Someone who might exploit that.
And the excerpts you show that shift.
From idealism to extremism.
It's clear in the assassination.
In Oslo.
It's where they cross the line.
From justice to murder.
It makes you think.
Did they really believe?
In what they were doing?
Yeah.
Or did it become about the violence?
Did they lose sight of their goals?
Blinded by anger?
These are questions that haunt Laura.
Even now.
Decades later.
And the consequences were huge.
Not just for Queller.
And his family.
But for everyone involved.
The army had to hide.
Living under new names.
Always looking over their shoulder.
It reminds us.
Of what?
That actions have consequences.
Even for a greater good?
Even then.
And we can't forget Andy.
On her own journey.
Trying to understand.
While dealing with the trauma.
Of everything.
Yeah.
It's like she's caught in the undertow.
It's about identity.
Yeah.
How our perceptions.
Of ourselves.
And those we love.
Can be shattered.
By the truth.
Andy has to reconcile.
The mother she knew.
With this new version.
A woman capable of both.
Love and violence.
Yes.
And it leads to those tense moments.
Like with Paula.
At gunpoint.
A real wake-up call.
She's still angry.
Resentful.
From her time in the army.
Representing the damage.
The lasting damage.
Of the group.
It's like a reminder.
That the past isn't really past.
That a word.
They can resurface.
Even after years.
Paula's rage.
Yeah.
It's directed at Laura.
Okay.
But also at the army.
At their broken ideals.
Yes.
And then there's Mike popping up at these key moments.
A friend or foe.
We don't know.
His motives are unclear.
Adding to the suspense.
He embodies that uncertainty.
Oh, interesting.
We don't know who to trust.
Like Andy.
Questioning everything.
It keeps us guessing.
How he'll impact things.
But back to Laura.
Okay.
We see her protecting Andy.
Desperately.
Even manipulating things.
To keep her safe.
But her methods.
They're morally ambiguous.
Right and wrong get blurry.
It makes you ask.
About what?
The limits of love.
How far would you go?
To protect your child.
Would you lie?
Cheat.
Break the law.
Laura's choices.
Make us think about that.
The gray areas.
It's like she's trapped.
In her own web.
The consequences coming back to her.
And it all comes to a head.
With Paula.
That violence.
Yeah.
Shows how destructive secrets are.
Trying to bury the past.
It doesn't always work.
And it foreshadows. For Laura and Andy.
Yeah.
So much tension and mystery.
And moral ambiguity.
But you highlighted something else.
What's that?
The trauma.
It's a driving force.
Shaping their choices.
Both Laura and Andy
are affected.
By what they've been through.
For Laura, it's the loss.
Her family.
The weight of the army.
The fear of exposure.
And for Andy.
The shattered reality.
Of violence.
Her mother's secrets.
And the way Slaughter portrays it.
It's nuanced.
And just flashbacks.
It's subtle.
How they interact.
The defenses they build.
Choices that seem irrational.
But make sense to them.
It adds so much depth.
We understand them better.
We see how trauma warps things.
How it drives them.
To make certain choices.
Yes.
And it sets up these questions.
As we move to the final section.
Can they heal?
From the past.
Can they forgive?
Each other and themselves.
Let's see where it takes us. So much to unpack with Laura and Andy. Their journeys, the past coming back.
This last section.
It really brings things together.
The prison visit.
With Nick.
The mastermind.
But we find out.
He's connected to Laura.
In a big way.
It's personal.
Yeah?
And tense.
We left off with Laura captured.
Her past catching up.
Now she's with Nick.
The man who shaped her.
Her beliefs.
Her whole world, really.
And then we learn.
About the child.
She had with Nick.
It changes everything.
It explains so much.
Her protecting Andy.
Like she's making up
For what happened?
But it makes the manipulation
Sending Andy away.
so heartbreaking.
She's repeating patterns.
Trying to protect her daughter.
From Nick.
But what about that child?
The one with Nick?
Did he even know?
What happened to them?
Why did they split?
So many questions.
And Nick, he doesn't react.
The way you'd expect.
No remorse.
No curiosity.
He wants control.
Even in prison.
He dismisses the news.
About his child.
And focuses on the piano.
It's chilling. How abusers work.
Taking something good,
Her music.
twisting it.
Making it a weapon.
It shows their relationship.
How he undermined her.
Her sense of self.
And as she plays,
He talks about his plan.
to bring back the past.
To pull her back in like...
They can just start over.
But Laura sees him differently now.
Not a revolutionary.
But a narcissist.
Obsessed with power.
Prison might hold him.
But his ideology.
It's still dangerous.
And that's her turning point.
She realizes
Escape isn't just physical.
it's mental, Tim.
Breaking free from him.
Taking back control.
It's powerful.
You should see her grow.
Learning from the pain.
Choosing to walk away.
Facing the consequences.
It shows her strength.
Her commitment.
To protecting herself.
Then Andy.
But the consequences...
They're big.
She goes to prison.
For her part in the army.
Accountability doesn't always mean...
Forgiveness.
It's complicated, right?
Can you atone for the past?
And still be held responsible.
It's about justice.
Redemption.
Andy keeps searching.
Learning more about her mother.
Coming to terms with who she is.
And their reunion.
After prison.
It's full of emotion.
Relief.
But also hurt.
Years of it.
It's not a fairy tale.
But it's real.
It shows the power of forgiveness.
Not just for others.
But for yourself.
Andy accepts her mother.
Her flaws.
Seeing her experience.
Letting go of the anger.
So after all this...
This deep dive into pieces of her.
What stands out?
What resonates?
Laura's journey.
Or Andy's struggle.
To understand her mother.
For me, it's the relationships.
The family bonds.
The potential for healing.
Even after so much trauma.
Slaughter doesn't make it easy.
But her character.
They're flawed.
Relatable.
It makes you think.
About yourself.
About your own life.
That's great storytelling.
It leaves you with something.
To think about.
To discuss.
To learn from.
Thanks for joining us.
On this deep dive.
We'll be back soon.
With more stories.
More ideas.